to another episode of Two Docs and a Grunt. As usual, I am Doc number one, Luis Fonseca. I was a U.S. Navy hospital corpsman for 22 years of my adult life. During my tenure in the Navy, I was involved in what is known as the Battle of Al Nazariya, which infamously became known as Ambush Alley. For my actions on that day, on March 23rd of 2003, I was awarded the Navy Cross. Please note that this episode is just for entertainment purposes only. This is not to be taken as medical advice. If you are dealing with any medical issues, mental health issues, please go see your healthcare providers. This is not for medical advice. Take it away, Doc Barry.
Folks, my name is Andrew Barry, also known as Doc Barry. I am a psychologist and psychoanalyst, and I specialize in working with veterans and first responders of all denominations, fighting with post-traumatic stress disorder and related mental health issues. And we have ourselves literally a blues guitarist with a world following by the name of Johnny Riley. One of our guests who's been with us before, the one and only Lloyd McIlwain, uh, he's been on with us twice, which shows how much of a masochist he is. He suggested John come on with us, and we were totally into the idea because, for any number of reasons, we have another combat veteran here to talk to, but he is a man who's chosen the blues as a path to healing. And he's taken it very far. So anyway, military bio. Normally, Nate reads this, and Nate does a much better job than I can. By the way, Nate will not be with us tonight, most likely. There's a huge power outage thanks to the storm. If he can, he will, but most likely it's just going to be us. Here we go. John Riley served from 1980 to 1992. He was a member of A Company, 1st 17th Infantry, and his MOS was 11 Bravo. He has service with the peacekeepers in the Sinai Desert, previous to service in Desert Storm. And after military service, he worked for the Texas Department of Corrections until he started his music career. And he is a global uh, blues artist, travels around the United States and around the world. And he weaves his Mississippi and gospel roots into a national tapestry covering the spectrum of today's blues music. According to this, he's got a booming voice of a backwoods preacher, and I can tell already because every time he talks, my ears hurt. Um, Kidding. And he has the flair of a head-banging rocker, and he moves from the audience from juke joints to church houses, and nobody's the wiser. He wields the guitar with expertise and precision, and he's equally accomplished on the harmonica.
I didn't write
And
that, by the way.
okay, all right. I'm just reading what you sent me here. His influences, and I'll shut up after this point, are BB King and ZZ Top, and but he's his own person, his own player. He gets one note of that guitar, you know it's him and nobody else. John, thanks for coming on with us. We really
Thank you for having me. I
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So anyway, it's my job, if you will, to not say that much. I'm just here to throw in an occasional question.
Okay.
And when Luis and Nate are on, they tag team with most of the questions because of the military stuff that I don't know that much about. So anyway, reading between the lines on this one, would you say that playing the blues, would you go so far as to say it was salvation, a way to emotional freedom, a way to heal? What would you say the blues
It
means
is the
to
way
you?
to heal. It's kind of like for me. I grew up. My mother was born and raised in the deltas of Mississippi, so I was exposed to blues early as a child. But she actually grew up picking cotton on a sharecropper's farm, and so they would come and pick them up in trucks, and they would go out, and she would hear people singing, and they would sing to make the work go better. But I was exposed to blues as young. I was exposed to Southern gospel music, blues, rock. I was exposed to a bunch of music, but blues, I always loved the blues because no matter how bad you feel, there was a way for. It's kind of like if something is infected, you can pour something in there and boil it out, man. It comes out. So blues to me when I can play, when I can, if you want to call it release, whatever, blues to me is a healer. So it heals and stuff. It helps me because I enjoy entertaining people, but I used to, I couldn't get in a lot like big crowds and stuff. I don't like all that shit, you know, everybody around you. And I played Buddy Guys in Chicago a couple of times. But they said, how do you do that? I said, I'm on medicine. Because if I wasn't on medicine, there's no way I wouldn't be in any of that stuff. I like being by myself and just kind of kicking back and everything. I like my dog better than I do people. So so blues to me is the healer. So when I can play the blues and I can play and get all whatever out, whether it's a fast or slow or whatever, it's a way of I don't want it to sound totally goofy, cleansing, I guess. It's kind of like pouring peroxide in a cut. You know, it boils all the stuff out. It gets it out. So if you know, I think John Lee Hooker said it's in them and it's got to come out. So it's kind of like having a splinter. If you can put that pressure and release that, then the splinter's not there anymore. So that's the reason I play music. It's kind of like it's my therapy, because I don't like going to like I go to the VA or whatever, and they go, "How you feeling?" I'm going, "Yes, I'm doing good. No, I'm not going to kill myself. No, but you know, none of this stuff." I said, I'm fine, but I've noticed that without the stuff, I tend to be more, I don't know, hyper vigilant or whatever. I don't. How do you say I don't play well with others? It's just like my bullshit meter is like, I don't know if you can say bullshit, but it doesn't go too far. Is what I'm saying. I was kind of, but through the blues, through music, I get to be able to take and I love entertaining people, and I love the audience when they come to see me, and I love going back and forth with them. If I can play to an audience, I think the worst place I've ever played is a casino. Because unless you're playing the main room in front of thousands of people, you're usually off in a corner somewhere, and it's kind of like going in your closet, shutting the door, cutting the light off, playing and singing with a whole bunch of sounds around you. Nobody's listening. You could literally get up and sing Frosty the Snowman on the stage in the middle of August, and they don't give a shit. It's just like, hey, I'm here. But I like it when they know I'm there and I can give something to them, and they like when they do this. It's kind of like, that's kind of like my high or whatever, when I can make somebody laugh. Or they say out of great art comes great pain. I don't know if you ever heard of that before, but that's kind of like what so blues, to answer your question, blues is a healer.
Right. From the movie Crossroads, one of the great lines that at least I thought was when Joe Seneca's character, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Crossroads. Joe Seneca's character, he plays a mentor to a young blues musician, and he said the blues is nothing more than it's about a good man feeling bad.
It's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. I love that movie. Yeah, I've actually
Yeah,
been to the real Crossroads.
I'd love to go there someday too. I
Well,
I
they
really
have
would.
some in Clarksdale, but those aren't the real ones. The real ones are out on Dockery Farms.
Mhm.
There's a place down in Mississippi called Dockery Farms, and right across the road there's an old dirt road. It's like a 2-lane highway, but if you look, it's a dirt road, and you go way down that dirt road, you'll pass an old graveyard, but it comes to a crossroads the next out there in the middle of nowhere, and it's extremely creepy when you get there. But they used to have a train that come through there. They would let people off, but when Dockery had people that worked on the farm, it's been there since the 1800s. Even the slaves worked there, but even after slavery was over, people came. So I don't know if if you have positive energy and negative energy, you can feel the Delta is the most magical, creepiest place you'll ever be. Because when I went out there were some things that actually happened, and I know they happened, and I'm like, dude, I'm not delusional. They were doing a photo op thing where they were taking pictures, and one guy said, "Don't play too loud, you'll call him up." Well, I've studied folklore and what they call folk magic and things like that, what they're talking about. And they're talking about Legba, which was a voodoo spirit or an angel that would make the way for you if he liked you. You can bring gifts. You bring different things. I'm one of those nerds that I actually read that kind of stuff. But I've been out there. It's extremely creepy, extremely different out there. And I've been out there several times. And Blind Mississippi Morris, a friend of mine, his name is Morris Cummings, his wife just now passed away. But Morris has played with Mick Jagger. Morris lives in Memphis right now, but Morris has won like 3 Grammys. He's an old black guy. I call him the Blind Prophet. And he plays at a blues place down there. But Morris told me about the real Crossroads. And I said, I don't take a lot of people there, but I know exactly where they're at. So, yeah, I really love all that stuff about the blues and the folklore and everything about it. So I think Lloyd's on here. I think Lloyd might have joined.
He is. He's floating around here somewhere. And Luis, maybe isn't this normally the stuff you're listening to, and for anybody who in the audience who's listening today or will be listening down the line, Crossroads refers to one of the real founders of blues in America by the name of Robert Johnson.
Right.
And Robert Johnson did, I think it was the famous 36 tracks, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think it was 36 tracks. They said the
Yep.
37's missing or something, but
yeah. And he did those tracks in the 1930s, and that album, those songs have been a cornerstone for blues in America, blues and rock and roll, and anybody who just wants to hear something different.
Charlie Patton I think Charlie Patton, Robert Johnson, and even Howlin' Wolf, and I know you've probably heard that name before. Howlin' Wolf said that he would get off. He'd say, "I get off wake," is what he'd say. He was plying 4 mules. He was plowing. When he'd get off, he'd go over there and said Charlie was teaching him how to play. And I think even Honey Boy Edwards talked about Robert and what happened to Robert. And I've actually been down there, Clarksdale, all that region around there, and studied some of that stuff. It's just Robert had so much problems in his life. I mean, I think one of his wives, his first wife, died in childbirth. It was a mess. But yeah, it's like the foundation. And I actually have studied that type of playing, where he would play the bass line with his thumb, and he would play the other deals with his 2 fingers. And they don't teach that. You got to watch the old blues guys that play like that if you watch them. And I can play those songs and play that kind of stuff. So I'm excited you're talking about this, because I like this conversation.
Well, I figured, hey, Louise, if you're feeling left out and want us to steer to something else, we can. I can do this sort of thing all night.
Yeah, no, this is great. I actually have some questions already
Yeah.
about it, but I just didn't want to interrupt. So
No, go ahead, man.
So, Mr. Riley, question for you, sir. So I grew up in North Carolina. So I grew up around, Southern music, bluegrass music, the blues as well, Southern rock and roll, classic rock and roll. And so one thing I do know is like the banjo has only, I believe, 3 strings or 4 strings. So
5
in
strings.
the 5 strings. So in the blues music, is the guitar, because you play the guitar for the blues, is it different as what I would consider maybe a conventional normal
Well,
guitar?
let me tell you something. A lot of people don't know this, but in early Delta blues, not only did they have fiddle players, they had banjo players, and banjo is an African instrument. It comes from the gourd banjo. There's a 4-string banjo. There's a 5-string banjo. There was a guy named Doc Boggs that played banjo back in the 20s. He tuned it different. It sounded dark when he played it. So blues has been played on banjo and fiddle. There's a picture of Muddy Waters on a porch with a guitar, and he has a black fiddle player. They go, "What do you mean, Phil?" I said, this is crazy that you said that about the banjo, because I'm working with Danny Jones on a show called Blood Brothers, and how the blues and country music, how everything was influenced. And I'm like, a lot of people don't know, but blues is the foundation. You can hear it. I tell blues is not a nationality. Blues is it's like a force. It's different because anybody can have the blues. I tell them King David in the Bible had the blues. He was always out there. He was like a Hebrew hippie. He was always out there playing the harp, blowing kisses to God, chasing sheep, doing whatever, writing poetry. And he would sing about things that were like all the bad things that's happening in his life. And I'm like, You know, one minute he was a man after God's own heart, and the next minute he's over here and he's sleeping with another dude's wife. I'm like, dude, if that ain't the blues, he's sleeping with Bathsheba. Then Bathsheba's gonna have a baby, but then he turns back around. It's like a Hebrew soap opera. He turns back around and says, tell her husband to come back in, and he needs to talk to his wife. He said, no, I can't sleep with my wife right now. The men are in battle. So David turned back around and said, well, take a note back out to the general. The note said, hey, put his ass out in the middle of the battle, in front of it, and don't protect him. So he basically had her old man bumped off in the story. I'm like, dude, so blues is not just, well, it's this culture or this culture. It's everywhere. But bluegrass, when you said that, Bill Monroe, quote unquote, the king of bluegrass, played mandolin. A lot of people don't know this, but in North and South Carolina, they have Piedmont blues, which use banjos, mandolins, guitars. And they go, well, Chet Atkins, that stuff he's playing, Chet didn't learn that playing country guitar. That's Piedmont guitar. If you listen, you can see how it intermingles. But there was a guy named Blind Willie Johnson, Blind Willie McTell. And if you listen, the Allman Brothers took the song called Statesboro Blues, but if you listen to the original version of Statesboro Blues, you think it's country. It's wake up, mama, turn your lamp down low, wake up, mama. But if you hear them, it's something totally different. And so the influences, a lot of people say, well, blues is, my dog died or whatever. But if you start studying the different styles, Piedmont blues had ragtime in it, had different things in it, so you can see the country. But Bill Monroe said he would play. He heard a High Lonesome Son, play barn dances when he was a kid. Bill Monroe was half blind. He wore glasses all the time. He couldn't really see good. And he said these black musicians were playing this stuff, and he combined blues and what you call hillbilly music, or quote unquote Irish, European, Scottish, Celtic. You can hear some of the stuff that comes over here. Put it together, and they call it bluegrass, or blues and hillbilly music, bluegrass. So that was what it was called. Prior to World War II, it was called hillbilly music. When the steel guitar and all that stuff come in, that was after World War II. So I'm working on a show with Danny Jones called Blood Brothers, and how to put it together where people can, not only will they get a show, but they'll learn something. Because a lot of people, you can put a cat in the oven, don't make it a biscuit. And you can call it country. Some of the crap they're doing now, they go, oh, this is country. I'm like, that's like saying I'm a track star. If you see my fat ass running, get behind me, because something's coming, because I'm not going to do it on purpose. I'm not running on purpose, unless something bad's coming, I don't. So I listen to the different ones, but if you listen to different, you said North Carolina, South Carolina, if you listen to people from Carolina play the blues, you'll hear country in it. And you go, well, that's country blues. I'm like, no, dude, it was different people in the Delta. They played it a little bit different. But it all influences and all comes together. So when people try to separate everybody all the time, that we're all different, we're all this, and you got, well, we started it. Well, I don't know who started it. I just know that it helps me in my brain, because I focus on music all the time, or doing a show or something like that, to keep me focused on what I'm doing.
For what it's worth, when we're listening to somebody like Robert Johnson in the 36 recordings, talking about what you were saying, John, about how unbelievably hard his life was. When you listen to the lyrics and the way he sings those songs, it's agony. The man was it was total.
Well, he lost his baby, he lost his wife. He's talking about hellhounds on his trail. I wrote a song one time called Demons in My Head, and said, wake up in a cold sweat. And a lot of, in blues recording, you can even hear it in Hank Williams. Hank Williams was taught by a black bluesman on the streets called T-Tot. And T-Tot, because in those days, blues was considered the devil's music. And if I don't know if you ever heard that down south, it's the devil's music. You get on one side of the corner, one side of the other corner. And I'm like, my father preached in black churches all over the country when I was a kid. And I grew up hearing it. And you could hear it in the church. You could hear all this different things. It was just, I tell them, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like when Jerry Lee Lewis started singing country music. It's like, man, he had something in his voice. I said, that's that soul. That's that blues coming out of him. I said, That's cooking. That's frying chicken with bacon grease is what it is. You know, you could hear something in it. My father preached in those churches and did all this stuff I heard it growing up. It's in both, so they try to separate and say, well, it's the devil's music. You shouldn't play the devil's music. So Teton actually went and asked Williams' mother, can I teach this boy the blues? And she said, yeah. So if you listen to the way he played was one way, that was hillbilly. But if you listen to the lyrics, the way he wrote, change the lock on my back door, now my key don't fit no more, I got to move it on over. Dude, come on. That's blues lyrics. There's a way to write a blues song. I wrote the song Demons in My Head. Wake up in a cold sweat, you repeat it twice. Blues hanging around my bed. I've been running from the demons that's trapped up inside my head. They go, if you have demons in your head, I said, literally no, but they're demons to me. They're my demons. So they're coming, they're coming back. So I'm running away from them. So like you said, pure agony. I know exactly what he's talking about. And you got kids out here, I call them parrot bluesmen. They're parroting what they heard. But playing the blues and being a bluesman is two different worlds apart. You have people that actually go through shit and agony and pain, and they express it through music, and that's a bluesman. When the bluesman comes to town, he's got something with him. When you get a kid to get up there, I seen a kid the other day played just like Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, the kid could smoke a guitar, but they go, what is it different? I said, well, he's parroting what he heard, but there's a difference. There's no substance. He's just repeating what he heard. But if you have somebody with some substance that's like giving you some, that's why B.B. King could hit one note and people lose their minds. They go, what's he doing? My God, what's he doing? I'm like, it's a difference. There's a spirit that goes with it. There's something that goes with it. Johnny Lee Hooker could play in an open G out of tune and grunt and stomp his foot, but you could feel something when he did it because he was real. And that's the it factor, I guess, in blues music. And I don't know if I made any sense because I go off on these rants or whatever.
No, absolutely. It definitely sounds like when you're singing with that emotion attached to it, that's how you make that connection with your audience, right?
You have to, man. If you ain't went through nothing, to me, I've lived it. So I mean, if you hadn't went, I see a lot of these kids out here. They got, well, this guy's doing good. He's got $1 million bus. I said, I'm gonna tell you something. My daddy used to say, if you see a turtle on top of a fence post, he didn't get there by himself. And in the music business, it's all about money. It's a lot about money. I was told back in the 90s, I opened up for a country singer named David Ball. And David told me if I give him $1 million, that he would make me famous. I said, what do you mean? He said, Johnny, it's bought. I said, what do you mean it's bought? He said, well, there's companies that are promotion companies. That's what they do. They promote people. So it's kind of like running for mayor or running for politician. You give them, $400,000 or $500,000, you'll be on the red carpet. People, everybody know who you are. You'll be all over the world. And they go, oh my God, he just blew up. You don't just blow up unless somebody's there. It's kind of like arming a claymore. If you don't do it right, you better point it out where it says point out front, because some moron's got to turn it around toward the people. My brain's frying a little bit here. Tell me what I was telling you. What is it?
Take your time, John.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what I was saying. I just lost my train of thought. I do that quite a bit. I forget stuff. Tell me what I was talking to you about.
If you don't point it in the right direction, claymore.
Yeah, you have to point it in the right direction. It's not going to work, man. I mean, it's just these people that get out. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you pay for it. You're in magazines. You don't just get in Rolling Stone magazine. I was told if I wanted to get on the Billboard charts, it was a $40,000 buy-in. Give them 40 grand and they put you in the charts so and see how you do. Well, there's other people that do it, but you have to sell so much and document it so much that you sold so much before. It's all about money. It's about, can you move product? They don't see it. They go, hey man, Doc's got talent. Let's sign Doc and let's give him the money to do so-and-so. No. How much do you make a month playing music right now? And if you don't make a certain amount that you can't move product, they don't invest in you. I didn't know any of this. And so I said, I understand now why they say blues musicians to go down there and sell their soul to get somewhere, because, dude, in blues, I've started calling it Americana. I renamed it. What do you play Americana? Because I can play anything. I can play country, bluegrass. I love bluegrass. I can play any of that stuff. But Americana, if you say blues, the price goes down. Dude. And if you're white and you play the blues, the price really goes down. And that's a fact. I mean, they go, ugh. So I call it Americana and come in and I call it gumbo music. My mother used to make gumbo when I was a kid. Got a little shrimp, got a little chicken, got a little this, got a little that. So when they get me, they get gumbo. Like, I'm a gumbo musician.
Nice.
I know what it is. It's blues, but they are, okay, something a little bit different. That's how that documentary I was telling the Lord about it, how it come about. I wrote a song called "Ain't That a Shame," and one of the lyrics says, "From the time I can remember, I always felt alone. My daddy was a saint at the church house and a devil when he got home. Ain't that a shame?" Well, the guy J.B. Lawrence heard this, and I was told, "You need to make a music video." And I'm like, "What for?" "Well, a music video is anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. I said, "What they don't realize that's advertisement in the music business. Once you get the video, you have to get somebody to play it. If they don't play it somewhere where people can see it, you've lost your money." You say, "Well, I've got a music video." "Well, we put it out on social media, but you want it on CMT, and then you have to go through all that red tape to see if they can play it. That you want it where a mass amount of people can see it. Go, oh man, this guy's really, really good," because you got to fake it till you make it, right? Well, I said, well, maybe I should put a video together. And I told JB what I wanted to do. And JB goes, "Did you write that song?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't want to do a video with you." I said, "You don't? Why?" I said, "Is it the money?" He goes, No. He said, "Is that song true?" I said, "That song's extremely true." It's been hard all my life, and the military didn't help, but I mean, it's been rough, And so,
There we go. We got John. Looks like John, we're having a little technical difficulty. We'll
hello.
Lovely.
All right, we got you back now.
We got you back. Okay. Yeah, I told him, I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "No, is that true?" I said, the lyrics to the song are true. They played it on the radio in Lake Charles, Louisiana. My brother heard it. He goes, "My God, I was there." My mother literally hit my father. My father, I tell people, if they didn't have time out when I was a kid, you go sit down and think about what you did. They'd knock you out when you regained consciousness. You kind of like, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. Well, that's the way it was at my house. And, my father I was in third grade. I don't know what I did, but he was wailing on me or whatever. And she hit him in the back of the head with a .22 rifle, butt stroked him, and laid him out on the floor. They go, "Oh, it's like," I said, "Dude, it's like white trash." And white trash soap opera, he goes, "That really happened?" I said, "All of it really happened." So he did a documentary on me. And tonight they're playing it on a place called B Movie TV that you can download on Roku. And I think they're going to play it at 7:25. I've seen it before, but it's basically they said, I want people to, because I met JB years ago at I think the IBC's International Blues Challenge. I won Memphis in 2015. Me and a guy named Rodney Polk played. Yeah, we played a duo. We went in there and played blues. We played our stuff, and we made it. We won Memphis, and in Memphis, we represented Memphis, Tennessee in the International Blues Challenge, where we made semifinals. And we got in some magazines or whatever, but my brain's doing it again. When we won in 2015. And then later on, I went back, but I had met JB there, and JB handed me his card, and I said, "Yeah, man, I've heard you." And a buddy of mine named Dennis Dimmick, who is a retired state trooper. He looks like a bear. He looks like Doc there with a beard and everything. And Dennis, "You should call JB." I said, "Who is?" I said, "Oh yeah, man, I remember him." That's when JB goes, "I don't want to make a video with you. I want to make a documentary." So it took him like a year to make the documentary. It's out at several film festivals. I think we're entered in the Atlanta. Of course, I don't know if you might have to pay me money to go to Atlanta. I heard it's like going to Afghanistan to go to Atlanta. It's like pretty wild down there. Of course, Memphis is pretty dangerous too. I've literally you'll have flashbacks if you go to Memphis. Dude, they run a dude out in the street, shot him down in the street right out there in front of the club. I was just like, dude, I know people talk about this stuff, but I ain't into all that, man. I gotta get away. I was like, dude, it was crazy down there. But my brain did it again. JB told me, he said I wanted to do a documentary. It took him a year to do it, and so now we got it at several film festivals, a couple of Texas festivals, where people can go and just premiere it. What we've done with it before is we go in, show the documentary. People have a Q&A, a question and answer deal, and they ask me questions about stuff. And then I play like a 45-minute or an hour set of show. And I do a lot of acoustic country blues with slide and different stuff like that to play. But I really love, I'm playing some festivals this year. I'm playing the one called the Rusty Axe Brewery. They're having a blues type, it's called Blues and Brews. Festival March the 22nd. I'm going to play up there. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm just telling you guys what I do. Any more questions? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just don't want to cut you off. This is your story, and I love to hear all about it. Question for you. How much of your military experience goes into your music, or is that kind of two separate worlds?
Well, no, there's a lot of it went in. Like when I'm 90% with the VA. I wrote a song called Tossing and Turning. My wife said I used to run in my sleep. I would run. So I would wear holes in the sheets. I didn't know I was running. But undoubtedly, I never quit moving, and I would rub holes in my sheets. So I wrote a song, Tossing and Turning, Rubbing Holes in My Sheets. The man down at the VA said I got the PTSD. Somebody said, that's a dumbass song. I don't know, dude. It just kind of, I don't write songs like other people
like
write songs. I don't sit there and go, I'm going to write a song today. Usually it'll hit my brain, it'll hit my head, and I'll start writing something down, or I'll hear something. I wrote a song, When the Anger Sets In, the Pain Goes Away, one time. And I heard a guy on the radio say something. He goes, man, when the anger sets in, the pain goes away. And I went, oh, wow. And I wrote it down in the car going down the road. And by the time I got home, I sang it for my wife. She goes, you didn't write that song. I said, I swear to God, I just wrote this song. So it'll come to me, and within 5 or 10 minutes, I can write the song. But if I sit down and go, I'm writing this song, like there's a guy named Doug Draisel that can sit down and literally write 10, 15 songs in an afternoon, where I can't do that. He just starts writing songs. He's tremendously talented, write songs. Me, when they come to me, it's always they mean something, you know. One of the lyrics I wrote said, looking in the mirror, what do you think I see? It ain't nothing but the devil in the blues looking back at me, because I'm my own worst enemy, I guess, where I'm the devil. You get what I'm saying? Where I look at myself in the mirror and go, okay, you know. So it does play a part in it, like especially like because I wrote a song PTSD blues and different stuff like that. But I just right now I write about stuff that I see. Like if I see things like, you know, I heard the Heartbreak Mississippi Melody. I knew, and the guy's name is Morris Cummings. If you look him up, his name's Blind Mississippi Morris. Morris has played everywhere. Morris is a legend. I call him the Blind Prophet. He's the sweetest guy I know. He told me, he said, man, I'll meet you up on Bill. Don't come to my neighborhood. I'm black and they don't even like me. And of course, he's hilarious, but he plays at a place down in Memphis. But Morris's wife died, and I was talking to him on the phone, and you could hear the heartbreak and the agony in his voice just talking to me. And I'm like, that's what it is right there. When you can take that kind of anguish and then put it into something that can help people. Because I had one guy play one night. He goes, man, you touched me. I said, I wasn't trying to touch anybody. But my deal on the deal, if you can touch an audience member where it actually helps them or makes them feel better, that's why I like laughter and comedy. I use a lot of, in my shows, especially if it's like in a listening room where people come and see, and I sit down, I tell a lot of stuff. I take things from my childhood that was actually painful or whatever. I turn them around and I make them funny, and people start laughing about that stuff. I'm like, dude, you know, I mean, I remember we didn't have one of the deals that I always because I remember my mother doing it. So when I was a kid, we didn't have a lot. There was no such things as Xboxes and cell phones and games. Me and my brother had a stick. We called it a horse. We'd wrap it like a rope around it, right around the yard. And if we got to fighting over, my mother come out and beat the shit out of us with it and say, quit fighting over the horse. You know, my mother would send you out for a limb, like to spank you with. Me and my brother drug like an 8-foot pecan limb in the room and laid it down. Of course, but she come from a generation. It wasn't like, hey, let's sit down and talk about this. Like, you're going to get an ass whooping. So they didn't know what ADHD or any of that stuff was back then. Doc knows, you know, it's the same thing back in the day. They didn't know what that was. They just like, he needs an ass whooping. And that's, so I got quite a few of them because I was always into something because they said I had, my brain never stopped. So I told him, I said, man, just add Jesus and PTSD and ADHD and child abuse together and you have me. So in the military, yay.
Right. Yeah. My parents used to say that I was just lazy and undisciplined.
Oh, yeah. Lazy, not disciplined, all that. You know what my father used to say? He said, boy, you got shit for brains. And he said, you ain't got to say something, pour piss out of the boot and directions wrote on the hill of it. I was raised down south. So when I see all these people now that get offended by words and they freak out because somebody said something or didn't use their pronoun, I'm like, dude, my father actually told me, you ain't got to say something. He said, boy, you got shit for brains. You get your head out of your ass. I mean, I was raised up rough like that. So
Right.
I'm like, it takes a lot I don't really get offended. I just say it is what it is, man, and going about my business.
Yes, sir.
It
I
is what it
understand that.
is.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. Now, Mr. Raleigh, was music always a big part of your life, even
Y-
before joining the military, or was that used afterwards to
Yes.
help? Oh, it's always been a big part of your life.
Ever since I was a little boy, I saw the Happy Goodmans. They're a gospel group. I don't know if you remember them. The Happy Goodmans are in the Hall of Fame, but I saw a gospel group in 1972. I was about 7 or 8. I don't know. In Beaumont, Texas, at B.H. Clendenin's church, and I saw them, and I thought they were the coolest thing in the world because I was raised old school Pentecost, which was like Assembly of God, Church of God. So they'd shout, you know, in the church and then whoop your ass in the parking lot. So it was, but I watched them and they got on that big bus and they drove off in the night. And I said, I want to do that. I was always the kid that wanted to run away and join the circus or I didn't want to be where I was. I wanted to get on the train, go somewhere. So I have a lot in common with trains and things like that and getting on down the line and looking to see what's over that hill. I was always one of those kids. So I said, I want to do that. But when I was raised, we were talking about the blues being the devil's music. I love Jerry Reed. He played a song called Amos Moses, and he was a great guitar player out of Nashville. He's a steward musician, artist. When I was a kid, I had one of his albums, and I had an old gut string guitar, and I'm sitting there trying to play along with him because I never had any lessons. All my uncles played. I just kind of picked it up and went with it. And my father, I remember him telling my mama, Jerry Lee, that boy's going to be playing in the beer joints. He needs the Holy Ghost and all this. I was like, I was 7, dude. I didn't know. I was just wanting to play like I heard on the deal. I'm thinking in my mind, well, you bought the album. I mean, the old 33s. Do you remember records? Yeah, the records and the 45s and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember all that. So it's been a big influence. Music was my escape of everything around me. So I could write a song, or I was the kid that believed in elves, lived in trees. I'd go knock on trees and talk to the birds. And I was the weirdo, you know, I had a big imagination. But a lot of times my imagination and music is what I always want to play music. Get on a bus and let's go. I want to ride, man. And I'm still like that, you know.
Now, from my understanding, you've been talking about writing your own music or whatnot. From my understanding, being able to write music is a whole different animal than being able to either sing or perform. Is that a pretty legitimate statement?
Writing's totally different. Writing, some people have to be inspired to write. Like me, I'll catch something and you're going to think I'm nuts. The best time for me to write is when I'm driving down the road by myself, or if I'm going to ride in a lawnmower mowing a field. If I'm just away, I'll get thoughts in my head and I'll start writing, or I'll hum, because I always, if I'm working, I'll hum. I'll get a tune in my head or something like. And a lot of times I write the tune and the lyrics in my brain. But a lot of people have to write the tune and then add lyrics to the tune where I'll get something and just kind of put it together. Like I wrote a song, Where Did It All Go? I wrote country. You can look these stuff up on Spotify. I'm all over the place, but I've got blues. There's blues, Americana, country music. I wrote a song called Where Did It All Go? And it's one of the lyrics, my favorite lyric I wrote says, as I look in the mirror, I'm trying to think, my brain just fried again. As I look in the mirror, what do you think I see? And I don't recognize the man looking back at me. Did I lose myself along the way? And when did I get old? And I wonder where in the hell did it all go? And I wrote the song because my mother saw a picture of me, 1968 or whenever it was, and my cousin standing up behind a car with my Aunt Patsy. And my cousin, Tommy Davis, he's so funny. He goes, which one's me? I'm like, you're the tall one, stupid. Really? You can't tell that's you. And I was sitting there, and my mother saw it. And my Aunt Patsy's got the bouffant and the horn rim glasses on, sunshades. And my mother goes, my God, where did the time go? And I said, Mama, I don't know where in the hell it went. And it hit my brain, and that was like influence. And I went home and I started, thinking about my life. And one minute I was 16 years old playing football. The next thing I know, I'm on the other side of the world. The next thing I know, I'm looking back and I'm having children. Then I'll look back and now I have 4 grandchildren. I got a grandson that's 14 years old, wear a size 14 shoe. I'm going, Jesus, dude. And I remember back. I guess it's kind of like, I don't know how old you are. Doc said he's 61. I'll be 59 this year. It's like when you get past 55, you're not looking at your life going, I've got all this road. You're kind of looking in the rear view mirror going, what the crap, dude? I used to be cool. Now I'm not cool anymore. And I'm old. I'm holy shit. Really? My grandson saw a picture of me in the military, and I had my little peacekeeping beret on. I actually had a jawline, and I had about a 31, 32 inch waist. I was cock strong, hoo and all that stuff. And he's gifted and talented. He's GT. He was 7 when he saw it. He's 14 now. He goes, Papa, was that you? I said, yeah. He goes, you were skinny? I said, yeah. He goes, you had muscles? I said, I did. I swear to God, the kid goes, what happened to you, Papa? I said, dude, I don't know. I guess your grandma's cooking. Hell, I don't know what happened to me. It's like I just went to like, holy crap. This is like, like life happened to you. That's what happened to you. And of course they go, don't tell your grandfather. I said, leave that kid alone. It's hilarious. It made my day go, what? I'm like, I don't know what happened to me. So when you get a little bit older, you start looking in the rear view mirror. So that's how I wrote that song. I was looking in the rear view mirror going, what do you think I see? And I don't recognize the man looking back at me. Where did I go? Where did it all go? And I wrote that's how I write songs. I think it's a little, but I've wrote with Wood Newton in Nashville, which wrote Bobby Sue for the Oak Ridge Boys. I've wrote with a guy named Glenn Tubb, which he was in his 80s, but Glenn Tubb was Ernest Tubb's nephew. And he wrote a 2-story house for George Jones. He wrote a country hit in the 60s called Skip a Rope. He won all kind of, I wrote with these guys, but I don't consider myself a professional writer. We just kind of get together and go, what do you think about this? And they go, that sucks, or this is okay, or whatever, That's what I would do. And I've been blessed in the sense of people. I've been able to get around different musicians, and they've always treated me good. I don't like uppity people. If you go back to that song I wrote, Ain't That a Shame? The one they did the documentary about because it was true. And they said, we want to do it about you. I said, okay, why did you write this song? Why did you, this is so true. What's going on? At the end of the song, it said, you can have all the silver. You can have all your worldly pleasures, all your silver and all the gold, but it won't matter in the end, my friend. We all end up in a hole. I said, I've seen people, man, I don't care if it's Donald Trump or George Soros, any of those jackasses, they're billionaires or whatever. In the end, they still drain their blood down a tube out. They put stuff in them and stick their ass in a hole. I'm like, that's reality. It's death, man. And that's, so I say it doesn't really matter. So to me, rich is, you got plenty to eat. I mean, I look at people say, oh my God, he's so rich. What would you do with you could buy an island? And I'm like, dude, in the end, if you're dead, it don't make any difference. You can buy an island, you're sleeping in a ditch. I mean, we're all people, you know. That's why I tell them I don't put my faith in stuff like that. Go ahead, Doc.
Well, I
No,
am. Which doc did you want? Me or you? Okay, I'll go. I'll go. Can you hear, John? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. So, speaking of noticing changes, I'm going to tell you a story that I've told often about guys who go into the service versus when they come out. All right. I started my career as a diagnostician in a state-run supermax out in Kansas. And it was my job to interview a guy, check his rap sheet, um, type up a report, suggest programs, and send him on his way. All right. And a guy came in, he was a Vietnam combat veteran. And according to his sheet, it was all alcohol related. DWI, DWA. He just,
Oh yeah.
when he came back to the world, he just drank his way out of his own life. Now, for the combat guys, one of my standard questions is, who do you miss the most? And normally, what they'll do is they'll tell me um, about their best friend, their brother on the battlefield, God forbid, their sister, cut in half by machine gun fire, just blown up, etc., etc. That's what I usually hear. But what this guy told me was a complete surprise. I asked him, who do you miss the most? And the color surges to his face. He's beet red. The veins are sticking out of his forehead and his neck, and he bursts into tears. And he said, Doc, he says, I miss me. I used to be a nice guy.
Yep.
And that was such a clinical gift from that man to me. He's probably dead by now. But what it told me was what you were talking about. When you look back at the pictures of yesteryear, it's like, who the hell is that? This guy and so many others who go into the service or go into a lengthy career as a first
And some
responder.
of them are babies when they go
Yeah,
in.
yeah, they go in, but my point is, they go in as person A, and at the end, they come out the other side as person B. It's as
Right.
though they don't even know who they are anymore. And the reason why I'm telling you that story is if that isn't a blues song in the making, I don't know what is.
Oh yeah, dude. That's why I said what I looking back at me, what happened to me, because I was a good kid, you know, or whatever. It's like I don't feel like I'm bad. I was just like, if I always tell people if I met the 16-year-old me, I'd probably punch myself in the face. You know, I was wild and woolly and full of fleas, wanted to play football and chase skirts and you know drink beer and just do kid stuff, you know. And of course, when you see things change around you, the atmosphere, even the way the kids talk or different things, and like I'm different. Everybody says, "Man, you're so nice, you're so laid back." I'm like, that's because I'm on medicine. And speaking of that, they had me on some stuff one time called lorazepam. So it's going to help you sleep, man. It's going to help you sleep. I'm like, great. And I took the lorazepam and it helped me sleep great. The problem was when I woke up, I wanted to kill everybody. And I'm going, what the crap, dude? It's like I was pissed off and didn't know why I was mad. And I'm violent. Just I was like, dude, I started reading the side effects, suicidal thoughts, rage. I'm like, why in the fuck would you give somebody with PTSDs medicine that'll help them sleep and make them mad as shit when they wake up? Pardon my French or my language, but I'm going, wow, really? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And I said, now I know why guys, because I was a kid when Vietnam ended. I know why guys come home and smoke pot. I know exactly why they did it. Because you can eat a gummy and go to sleep and wake up and you're not mad at anybody. And because I did it in Colorado. I told them one time in Colorado because he said, well, take Benadryl. But you on the Benadryl, now they said, well, it could cause dementia. I'm like, I don't want dementia. Like, really? It'll help me sleep, but it could cause this. This is great for your prostate, but it could give you cancer later on. I'm like, God almighty, the side effects and or death. I went to Colorado. I was playing in Colorado one time, and I went because you could buy it. And I said, look, I don't smoke dope. when I was a kid, all my cousins were all a lot older than me, and they all did smoke pot. And I said, this regular weed or whatever it was, I said, I want something that'll help me sleep. I said, I'll sleep 2 or 3 hours, but then I'm up and I'm moving around, or I'm constantly moving in my sleep. My legs are moving. I'm moving. I said, I want to rest. And I ate a little orange gummy, went to sleep, slept for like 10 hours, and slept 20 years in 10 hours. It was great. I woke up and I wasn't pissed off. And I said, why are they giving, I know there's guys out there. I know my brother said people, my brother invaded. He was actually in Time Magazine. He was a door kicker. He'd be great on your podcast. He was into some stuff, but I was like, dude, why in the world would you give somebody something like that if you know the side effects are worse? And the gummies, I was like, dude, I know why. That's why I say I know why guys from NAM come back and they would smoke weed, because happy, hungry, sleepy, laughing at anything. That's okay. But the rest of it is like, I don't see why they did. Yeah. I don't know if they're just into pushing pills. I have to have my medicine. I tell people they got me on the right stuff right now. But if I don't have it, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to do none of that stuff. I just want to stay home. Just leave me alone. I'm fine. I've got a little dog that runs around here, and she's a mess, and she likes me. And that's why I say I like my dog better than I do some people. And I think sometimes I go off on these tangents, just saying how I feel. If you get it, I don't know. I don't know where I went, but I always said I was always the artistic kid. I wanted to draw. I wanted to play music. I wanted to do that kind of stuff. And as I got older, I told him, I said, I have my heart. It's in a drawer at home. My wife keeps it put up in a box. It's like, you can't let people get too close to you. It's like, don't take my kindness for weakness, that kind of stuff, So I'm licensed to carry. I worked in corrections, and I was a lieutenant in Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I worked inside, worked the jail, worked with inmates, did all this stuff. I'm licensed to carry. And I said, I told him, I said, dude, I had to read all that thing. I've had the bullets in there forever, but it's like, I carry it. They said, are you scared? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm scared. So I carry it around, because in Memphis, if you don't have something on you, you'll get killed. I mean, I thank God I live in a small town. This world is nuts. I live 2 hours from Houston, Texas, and I promise you get popped in Houston. They don't play over there. So it's just like, I kind of stay in my own little deal. If I'm going to play somewhere, I know where I'm playing. I know, and sometimes I won't go the same routes. That's how weird I am. I'll go different routes just because I'm always, is that what they call hypervigilant? I'm extremely. I'm watching everything. I mean, you don't catch me slacking.
Johnny, you said something that I really enjoyed hearing you say was now they got you on the right medication, and I think that's such a powerful statement, because I believe, in my personal opinion, that a lot of us that go see the VA or our healthcare team, right, and we get put on a medication, and that medication doesn't work, it kind of maybe throws us off from wanting to try other ones, especially like you said, when you read some of these side effects, that
I think that's why some guys kill themselves. I think that's why they put a
absolutely.
bullet. They're fine 1 minute, and all of a sudden they blow their head off. They're like, "What are you doing for?" I'm like, "What the hell were they taking?" I didn't
Right,
realize that medication can chemically mess you up like that.
yes, sir. Yeah, and then I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said that some guys will take these medications and still kill themselves, right? When one of the side effects is you have someone that's already suicidal, has suicidal ideations, has verbally told their doctor, "Hey, I'm suicidal. I tried to commit suicide, whatever," right? And then they give you a medication, and one of the side effects is it could make your suicidal ideations even worse. That's one thing I never.
See, does that not make any sense? It makes no sense
Right.
whatsoever.
Right, but like you said, it's very important too, that especially if you do need medication, to, I don't want to say shop around, but to be very open with your providers and let them know that what you're giving me right now, this shit just is not working, and we need to find
Well,
something else.
the stuff they were going to give me that one stuff to make me sleep. This was years back, and I literally was angry, and I got mad when they broke a knife off in a board, a cutting board. I was just pissed off, and I was ready to start like just shooting holes in the floor. I was like in a rage, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And it was weird because something in my head pops, says, "Look," and it was like something spoke to me and goes, "Read the side effects." when I read them, I called the VA. I said, I cannot take this shit. She goes, it don't happen with everybody. I said, I can't take that. I said, I sleep wonderful. I'm mean as shit when I wake up, and I don't know why. It's like darkness. It's like it's all over me. I don't like this. And she will start taking Benadryl. So I totally got off of it. They go, well, man, they make you sleep. I said, dude, you sleep like a baby, but when you wake up, I had bad effects from all of it. And I said, that's like you said, I miss me. What the hell? Where did this come from? I was just like, man, I don't want to do this. And this my grandkids are older now. This when they were little. And I'm like, my God. I'm like, I think sometimes people on the wrong medication, you can cause them to do shit that they wouldn't normally do if they weren't on that type of medication. And I didn't realize chemical imbalances. If your shit's a little bit off, it can mess you up. I didn't know why depression. Like I'd be fine. I told my nurse one time. I said, I can be fine. All of a sudden, darkness. It's like this comes on you like this. I don't know why I feel like somebody's standing on my chest. I don't know why I feel like this. And I said, I have no reason to feel like this. I said, hell, my wife's healthy. I'm healthy. My grandkids like me. My dog likes me. I got plenty of food. My bills are paid. I really don't have anything to bitch about, but I'm depressed and I have no idea why I'm depressed.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
Yeah. And she goes, well, it's not your fault. I said, well, whose fault is it? I said, I look around, it's kind of like the sun's shining, the birds are chirping, everything's cool, but I feel like shit. Don't know why I feel like shit.
Wow.
And it drives me. It's like, dude, that doesn't make any sense to me on that. And so that's why I sit there. I try to, I pray a bunch. I tell them I'm one of God's special needs kids. So I pray a lot. I'm one of God's special needs kids. I'm like, dude, I said, by the time I think I'm being good and being what Jesus wants me to be, I'm out there in the backyard having a cussing fit. I'm because everything to me is like, it's not like, hey, let's talk it out. Everything goes from this to violence, to violence. Yeah. If you understand what I'm saying, you don't go to like, nah, they don't think like that. When I go from point A to all the way over to the extreme, and I don't want to do all that kind of stuff, man. That's not good.
Right. Thank you for saying that too about like your depression. I think that is one of the best ways I've ever heard someone put it, and I've kind of expressed that to my providers as well too. It's like I don't get it. Like you said, the birds are chirping, the sun is shining. I have food in my refrigerator, a roof over my head.
Yeah.
I got a little money in my bank account. Why the fuck am I feeling like shit?
I know I'll be all depressed, like life doesn't matter anymore. I have no clue why I'm going, really? And I told her, I said, I don't know. I said, I have no reason to be depressed. I make really good money. I said, I'm booked all the freaking time. I'm out here, I'm playing, I'm doing shows, I'm doing all this stuff. Everything's fine. I'm not really having any problems other than, I creak when I get out of bed. I mean, like this, and then all of a sudden it's just like, it's like putting on a dark overcoat over your head like this. It's just like, it's like this. I'm going, I feel like somebody's standing on my chest.
Yes, sir.
I had an episode out on the road one time. I had a guy, it was a drummer, and I was in law enforcement, so I didn't know these guys were doing this. We were in my van. I got a 14-passenger van, and we got stuff loaded up, and I'm in Chicago. And we're playing in a place called Patio Fagan's. And it's funny because it's like, you guys made $1,500 for that? I said, oh, yeah. I said, but by the time you take out gas and you pay everybody and you drive back home, and I got back home 2 days later, I was still in the clear. I wasn't in the red. I had my profit was $5. I'm like, dude, don't tell me how great the road is. I'm just saying. We were there, and traffic's horrible. And I never experienced traffic in Chicago. They'll hang out the window, fuck off, whatever. They losing their minds and yelling, and we're going and doing, and they're griping. And the guy goes, the guitar player and the sound guy ran out of pot. I said, what? Who's got pot? I said, dude, I swear to God. And I got hot, man. I said, if you guys get me put in jail, I said, I'm going to stomp everybody's. I was in better shape. I said, I'm going to stomp everybody's ass. I'm going to stomp your ass. And they're like losing it. And I just like lost my, I was like, dude, we can't, because I'm out here to make money and have fun and do this, but I don't have to do this. I can be at home. I have a really good credit score because of my wife. It's like 800. So I got a credit card. I can get home. I can fly whatever we need to do. And I threatened to put them all out on the side. So I put every swinging deck on the side of the road. I don't care. I said, I'll go home. And it was just like, and I literally, they didn't know it. I fired everybody. That day, they didn't even know they were fired. And I said, I am not handling this. And I went home, and I was scheduled to play for the Erie Seawolves in Erie, Pennsylvania at the baseball stadium. We were going to play a big 4th of July thing up there. I did the national anthem and they liked it. And I did all that. And I said, I can't do it. My wife goes, I think you need to start playing solo. You'll make more money if you play solo, and you won't be as stressed, because they don't understand. It's like, I don't think like normal people think. It's like, you're not going to call me all these it's like no black man said, I ain't going to be too many more of these motherfuckers. So, you know, you ain't going to talk to me stupid and act like that and think I'm not going to do something to you, because I'll do something to you bad. I thought, I don't need to go to jail, because I'm already thinking I'm fixing to do something to these guys. It's pissing me off. Well, that's the way I think. And I stopped, and they go, but we've got a book. And I said, find somebody else. I left equipment. I left everything. I come home. They got a base. They got some more stuff. I come home, and that's when I started writing, performing by myself. Now, if I perform with a band, I hire them independently, as in contract work. They come in, they play, and we're all nice to each other, and everybody's happy. They going down the road. I've got some guys. One of my drummer that I play with is named Jimmy Rose. Jimmy won a Grammy playing with Pine Top Perkins. Excellent drummer. Bass player played with Mike Zito. He's played with Tommy Darder. He's played with all these big guys. Brent Anderson is the guitar player I used. All these guys are like 70. And I use them. I bring them in and play, but I do more solos because it's better for me to do more solos. I don't mind, but, you know, musicians are like inmates, Doc. If you let them, they'll run all over you. And if you don't have their respect, they'll take it. I swear, they're like criminals, dude. It's just like, you don't. I've rode with them, so I don't. If you ain't the bull in the tank, you're gonna get taken advantage of. And I use people. I've got younger people I can use, but like a trove of musicians who come in and say, here's what you're going to make. They don't say, well, how much you're making? Well, ain't none of your business what I'm making. I'm going to be making more than you if I'm contracting a job, I promise you. So I contract musicians to come in and play, and I've got some musicians who are going to play with me. I'm opening up for Josh Abbott this year at the rodeo, the Houston County Rodeo in Crockett, Texas. I've opened up for T.G. Shepherd, T. Graham Brown. I'm trying to think of who that other deal we're doing. I've got a bunch of stuff going on in March. And I'm opening up for people. I do good, but it's better sometimes for me to come in and let a band back me up that I don't know personally or don't think they have the right to tell me to, you know, what I need to do and how I need to do it. I just, you know, I've got a manager, Barry. I forgot his last name again. I don't know why I keep forgetting things, but Barry Pollock. He used to work for Columbia Records back in the day and different. Barry's 80, and Barry, you know, hit him. It's going to be all right, son. You just keep going, you know. I think I do better by myself. It's kind of like being a solo artist, and where you've got, you know, I talked to a lady down. They were talking about they hire bands. She wanted to pay a band $400. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, dude, you do realize that I'm not going to drive 8 hours one way and pay a band $400. It don't work like that. I need a guarantee plus, or this is what I charge. You know, if I open up for somebody, this is what I get. And Jimmy Mays, if you look him up, he was called Sideman to the Stars. And it says we're reconnecting. But Jimmy said, Johnny, and Jimmy played, you get this, Doc, for Little Walter, which was a blues harmonica genius. He played drums for Little Walter. And Jimmy told me, he said, son, if you don't learn to say no in this business, you'll never make any money. And I didn't know what he meant then, but I do now. I know exactly what it means. And so I tell him, that's okay. I'll just, you know, because down here, I'm making $300 to $500 a night solo. And this was within my area in Texas. And if I go out of Texas, I played at the Infantry Museum in Fort Benning, Georgia, the new one down there, which is pretty cool. And I went down there and I got to meet some real heroes. guys that I don't know who that medic was that drug all them people off that hill, but we got to meet him. He
Desmond
was,
Doss. Desmond
yeah,
Doss.
yeah. I think we got to meet him when he was up there. We went and seen all this stuff, but they were really good. I got to play up there for those guys. I played for Wounded Warrior Project a couple of years back in Houston. They were giving helicopter rides or whatever, but I like doing stuff like that. I don't know. Everybody's so political now. Even the guys that I work with that are professionals have got in some of this political crap. I'm like, dude, I'll be honest with you. To keep me sane, I don't give a shit if you don't like this one. I don't give a shit if you don't like the other one. I want to play music and write music and keep my focus right. Because I'm like Dolly Parton. I say I'm an entertainer. I don't give a shit if Trump won. I don't give a shit who won. I said, deal is, my daddy used to say, right wing, left wing, same bird. Just whatever. The same bird. It's like Memphis wrestling when I was a kid. He had the heel and the baby face. You know, you got the baby face, he's doing everything right. He's the hero, and you got the heel. He's over there, he's being an asshole, but he's being paid to be an asshole. And it's all political theater. Well, you've got, I got a 70-year-old drummer that won a Grammy playing with Pine Dot Perkins, and he's bitching, causing this guy over here, the President Hitler. And this one says, well, he's so this, and I'm going, what has this got to do with playing music? Have y'all learned to list? If y'all learned what I sent you, that's all I want to know. Because, and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna have to fire him. I said, I'll just go play and hire somebody else to come in, because I love the guys. They're some of the greatest musicians. But when they get into all this crap, when they're constantly talking, division just causes crap, dude. It causes trouble. And the old school, I say the old school liberals, the hippies were cool. They'd get together at a table and they would see your side and you see their side. Everybody come to a meeting point. Now it's like, we need to burn shit down. We need to do this. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to be fooled with. You start bombing, you start coming to my house, they're gonna start picking. Y'all better bring some body bags. Start popping some motherfuckers out here. I ain't play with them. And we had some people come down here in Grovetown. I live in Grovetown, Texas. They were agitating and shit and screaming and hollering. And it's different down south than it is up north. They got a lot of front end loaders down here. I'm like, dude, there's some people down here that ain't got no sense. They will shoot your ass. And you don't fool with people. I mean, we wave at everybody down south, but it's like, dude, I'm not, they were down here trying to start shit up. And I'm like, it's not going to solve anything. None of this shit's going to solve anything. And in 5 years, it won't matter, So the political side in the blues world, it's extremely liberal. In the country world, it's extremely right wing. And I'm kind of like in the middle going, look, I don't give a shit if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. Leave me alone. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It doesn't make me. The only thing that bothers me is the pronoun shit. I'm like, dude, I got a light bill to pay. I don't give a shit. Thee, they, them, whatever. It's like that. I come from a different generation. It blows my mind when I hear it. I don't understand it. I'm like, I get it, but you need to understand something. When I grew up, everybody didn't win a damn trophy.
Right.
You either lost or you won, and that was it. I remember Jamie Levere, when we played basketball, Jamie won most valuable. He got the big trophy. I didn't win shit. I couldn't play basketball to save my life. I didn't win nothing, but nobody. That's, well, I guess you're going to try again next time. That was it. Mm-hmm. And then my grandkids played T-ball, and everybody got a trophy. I said, what did you get a trophy? So, well, everybody win. Everybody's a winner. I'm like, no, everybody's not a winner.
Right.
Not in real life.
No, sir, because especially once you grow up and you get out of school, right? Out of the school,
yeah.
You realize that, not everyone gets promotions. Not everyone gets a raise. Not everyone gets the pat on the back. You know what I mean?
Well, I think America has so much money that we got homeless veterans on the street, and they're pissing veterans off because, they're putting these illegal. I said, look, if you flood a country on purpose, there's a reason to do this. Everything has a reason. It's all on purpose. Everything has a reason. All it does is upstep, and it changes things. And that's all it does. And I said, you've got enough money to put nobody should be homeless in this country, especially a vet. He shouldn't be homeless, but there is. And the bottom line is the people don't care. I played South by Southwest one year in Austin, and we were down there playing, and it got cold. It got really cold down there. And I was looking, and there was a guy laying out. He was out of his mind, I guess. He didn't have a shirt on. Dude, it started snowing a little bit. It was freezing. He's laying out there, and I look over, and there's a Salvation Army, right? There's people lined up trying to get in because they're cold. I seen a woman with 3 or 4 kids in a blanket. She's on the street too. She's trying to get the Salvation Army. Now the cops walk around like it's normal. If you get what I'm saying, it looked like a war zone down there. There's some transvestite guy out there with his wig off trying to read people's palms. This is like total shit. I was like looking around, and I said, life keeps turning, the sun keeps going up, and the real deal is the American church, no one gives a shit. And it kind of hit my brain. I'm like, they're walking over people. There's a woman jumped out of a dumpster down there, was like losing her mind, screaming and yelling. And they're walking about, and the cops walking by like, hey, yeah, whatever, they're drinking coffee, they're doing it. It didn't even faze them. It's like they were used to their surroundings. If you get what I'm saying. Totally used to this. And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, the real deal is nobody cares. And when you tell your kid everybody wins a trophy and you don't set them up for disappointment, they're gonna find that later on that that's horseshit. You know, people don't care. There's people living under bridges. People don't care. You know,
Right.
and that's the reality of life. So I'm doing something. I try to turn bad things into good things, make people laugh, do stuff like that. You know, and I try to write music. I enjoy to make people laugh. I made a lady spit a drink out one time, a martini all over a table. She was like losing her mind laughing. And I like telling stories, you know, and stuff on the road. I had a lady one night. You should have seen, I'll tell you the story. You should have seen me. I had a blue, I looked like I was going to church in Atlanta, Georgia at Easter time at the black church. I had a blue, like bright electric blue suit on with the rhinestones all over it, had a top hat on. I looked like a hillbilly pimp, okay? And I got these shades on, and these shades, man, are I can't see shit without my glasses. These shades are like prescription shades. So I'm sitting up here, and I got the do on, and I'm playing the blues, and I'm doing my thing. And this drunk woman, they had a birthday party, and she's licking a strawberry. Now, I don't know if you ever seen a drunk woman lick a strawberry, but she's trying, and she's doing all this stuff on a strawberry, right? And she's pointing at me. Well, dude, we're on a stage real up, like high, and I'm going, you know, and she's pointing at me, and the bass player goes, I think she's pointing at you. Well, man, I've been married since 1986. I've been married almost 40 years, and we dated 5 years before I got married. I mean, this woman, you know, she got a $4,000 diamond ring on her finger. This is why this $4,000. I said she needs 10 more of them. I said, the fact that she raised both my kids and had to put up with me for all these years, Jesus, dude, are you kidding? That woman's a saint. I said, I'd have killed me in my sleep, you know. So we're up there, and this woman's looking at me, and what, you know, I'm at the age I'm thinking, yeah, man, I still got it. But the woman was an ugly woman, if you get what I'm saying. She wasn't even good looking. If she'd have been like drop dead fine, I could be, yeah, I still got it. The real deal is she was an ugly woman, and she propositioned me. Well, the way I tell the story, I said the woman got done, and she goes, man, you look so sexy. I want to get with you. And I told this is what I actually said to the woman. I said, I'll be honest with you, lady. And I said, the woman wanted to rub TTs. When I said that, that woman spit that drink. I said, she wanted to rub TTs, and that woman spit that drink all over the table. And was like, oh my God, my husband's going to say that for the rest of my life. I like making people laugh. Well, I told her that. I said, lady, I'll be honest with you. If you drink enough alcohol, liquor, whatever it is you drink, and to find me remotely attractive, you got a damn drinking problem, and you need to stop. Of course, everybody started laughing. All the guys started laughing. The bass player said, I'm single. I said, take one for the team, but it ain't going to be me. I promise you. You know, I tell people used to it was like rock and roll and hard whiskey and living and all that. But I said, now it's more like ibuprofen in the shower and some Candy Crush, me FaceTiming mama, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't do it. Ain't people say, well, you got a problem drinking? I said, hell no, I used to love to drink. Everybody had the problem when I was drinking. That's why I did not drink. I get in trouble, you know. One that I didn't like it. I drank enough full battleship, but I always get in trouble. And I'm too old to be getting thrown in jail and getting my ass whipped. I can't do that no more, you know.
Yes, sir. I understand that feeling. I tell people all the time, like, I know I love being drunk. I truly did. I just didn't love the consequences of it.
No, me either. No, and I was in I was in the multinational force. When we were over there, that's when the storm kicked off. We got extended while I was there. I was in the sign, and we got extended. We couldn't come home. We thought we was going to be on a little peacekeeping mission, if you want to call it that, and we were coming home. But I've seen GIs drunk for 3 days straight. They never sobered up, you know, just straight up drunk. You wake up drunk, go to sleep drunk, wake up drunk. And I was like, you know, I sold my wild oats, but my wild oats are now lumpy oatmeal and it's cold. So I don't. I'm like, dude, I really the things that used to get me going. I said, don't. I said, I'll be honest with you. I'm just. I'm. I don't know if it's you get older or get wiser. I'm just looking back. I'm like, I done did all that, man. I'm
Right.
cool. I get off to playing really good music. I love listening. I love when something comes together. I enjoy putting a show together. If I could get that show together, Blood Brothers with Danny Jones, we were talking about earlier about the bluegrass and how it come together. Because in South, you look up Piedmont blues in South North Carolina, South Carolina, Piedmont blues, Blind Willie McTell. If you just listen to that, you go, that's blues. I'm like, yeah, that's blues. And they called it. I tell you what, Jimmy Rogers. You ever heard of Jimmy Rogers?
I
He
personally
was in the
have
Country
not,
Music
no.
Hall of Fame. They called him Mr. Country Music. If you
Okay.
listen to his stuff, a lot of the stuff he was playing was Piedmont blues. They called it country, but back then they couldn't say he's playing colored music or black music. The stuff he was playing was Piedmont style, like "Honey, I'm a Bearcat Papa," and all that kind of stuff. If you listen to it, if you listen to Piedmont blues, it's the same thing that he's changed the name to. That's what I did with blues. I said, "Oh no, man, I play Americana." They go, "Oh, okay." It's an umbrella term that you can play bluegrass or whatever you want to play and not get in trouble for it. So,
Gotcha. So
yeah.
talking about shows, it's a good segue. I wanted to see if this pops up for us real quick. So this is Mr. Johnny Riley's website here, and I pulled up his tour schedule for y'all that would love to go check him out. We'll also make sure that we put his website link in the podcast at the end as well too. That way you could always go back and find him.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
think the booking phone number's on there too if they want to book me. I do have agents that book me, but I do have my cell number. If they call me direct, I book direct.
so yeah,
But
there you.
I'm booked a lot in advance.
So right here, Mr. Johnny Riley, right here, they could contact through here as well too. Seems like right.
They can contact me on that. I'm Johnny Guitar Riley, but I'll tell you, my cell number, if they can text me 936-240-9342. It used to have a contact on there. I don't know if the number's still on there or not. They used to have a contact number where they could get me. I'm sitting there looking on the comments. Um, on the comments of where they said they're supposed to send it to.
Okay.
If you look, Johnny Guitar Riley's my Johnny Guitar Riley at gmail.com is my email address, and my cell number is 936-240-9342. And they can call me. I book in advance. I'm already starting to try to book stuff for next year, so I try to book in advance. That's the way you keep going if you're going to make any money. That film you're watching there was years back. Oh, it's okay.
We can put that right back up. No worries. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's it. That's them little promo things. And I played. Trying to think. I don't know if you ever heard of the artist Kinky Friedman. He come out of Austin. Kinky just died, but this was a deal. Oh, it was like Texas Roadhouse, and I played and I did some different things. I had a big band, and I've lost a lot of weight since then. And,
We'll definitely get all that contact information too, Mr. Johnny, and put that on the site as well to your email address and
well, I hope
phone
I hadn't
number.
bored you guys just running my mouth.
No, sir. This is
No way.
no, not at all. This has been amazing. So I have another question about music. So, what is the purpose? And I'm sure it's to create different sounds, but the purpose of when you see um, some of the guitars wearing like a metal sleeve
That's a
over.
slide.
Slide.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a slide. I've got one. I don't have it on me. I prefer the stainless steel
Okay.
slides rather than the glass slides. But a lot of times, slide is played. You can play it in a regular tuning, on regular tuning. But a lot of the tunings is it's just recon.
Whoops.
Give Mr. Riley a minute, see if he comes back on.
Yep.
No, Doc, this has been an amazing show so far. I really love having Mr.
Yes.
Johnny Riley on here. Some a little bit different, talking about music, you know.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
A lot of fun. And I found his website. Looks like a lot of fun, and I'm forwarding it to a couple of people too.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely,
Um,
like I said, put that up on our site and also his YouTube channel
yeah.
as well too.
What a lot of people don't realize is when, oh, here he is.
There we go.
Hang on, he's back. There you go. We cannot. I can see you, but I cannot hear you. I can see you trying to talk, John. I cannot hear you. Luis, can you hear him?
No, not no, sir.
Nothing yet, John. Well, we're going to wait for him to try to log back in. So anyway, as I was starting to say, the blues is basically a very simple kind of music, and that's what makes
Hmm.
it pure. It's a very simple kind of music. However, to put the level of emotion that John's talking about, to really make it the blues, is very hard,
Yeah,
very
that's
hard to do.
what I got as well too, Doc. Is especially putting that emotion into it, that raw emotion that allows you
Mhm.
to connect with your audience,
Okay,
right?
his recording appears to have failed, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Sorry for anybody who's listening in on this. Technical issues are on John's end due to circumstances beyond our control.
yeah.
Let him in.
Oh,
Here he is.
there we go. I can hear you now.
All
Yep,
right, we
and
can
we
hear
can
you
hear
now.
you too. Now we just
Yeah.
can't see you.
I don't know what happened. I can see myself down here, my face.
Hmm.
Okay.
I can see me and I can see y'all.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just
Well, we'll keep going then. What Luis and I were talking about is the music technically it's a very simple form of music play, but what makes it hard, damn hard, is to put the level of emotion in that you're talking about to make it authentic. That's what separates the men from the boys.
It does. You have to have a boat. I've seen guys that can play. I've seen kids. There's a kid down here that I played the Hearn Crossroads Blues Festival
Mhm.
last year, and this kid was awesome. I mean, he could just slay. And they go, "That's awesome. He really can play. He's something." But it's missing the chicken grease. If that's what I'm saying, it's like it's there, but there's no
right.
substance, and it's not his fault. He hadn't lived yet. The kid's 14 years old. You know, he can play. He sound like Joe Bonamassa. You know, they go, everybody knows who Joe Bonamassa is. They should know. His father owned a big music store in New York City. He's got money behind him. If you have money, you can be famous. I'm telling you guys. But the level of emotion it takes to play that, if you could do that, if you get somebody like Morris Cummings, Blind Mississippi Morris, play something, man, you can feel it all the way down in your
Yeah,
balls. I mean, you can feel it, dude. It's down there. It's there.
it.
Rather than
Go ahead.
I used to tell her it's like my mom used to make. I don't know if you know what homemade banana pudding is. My mom
Oh,
used to
my
make
favorite.
banana pudding when I was a kid, and my mother would make it from scratch on the stove. Well,
Mhm.
I've had it like that. I've also been to Chinese buffets where they pour that shit out of a can and put vanilla wafers on it, call it banana pudding. Well, it's not really banana pudding. It's a form of it. These
Right.
guys are playing a form of blues, and you got guys that won Grammy playing blues, but you got to have some substance and the level of emotion it takes. I tell you what you do. Watch some old Muddy Waters clips when he would play slide or do things. It
Hmm.
takes that's what separates the it from the it factor.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like you guys talking about it. Kind of the way I've envisioned it in my head is, you have an artist that sings a song and it really touches you. You feel the emotion. You can cry with the artist. You can laugh with the artist. You can have a great time. And then someone does the cover of that song, and it just doesn't have that same feel, that same emotion.
No, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. And George Jones sang country music, and if he sang a song one time called "Blue Must Be the Color of the Blues," and oh my God, there's a rainbow overhead with more blue than gold or red. Blue must be the colors angels choose. I'm like, who wrote this? It's like, but
Wow.
the way he would phrase his lyrics and the way he would do it. I mean, George Jones could sing the phone book, make you want to put a gun in your mouth. I mean, the guy was. I'm like, dude, that is so. Uh, Bartender blues. I'm just a bartender, and I don't. The way I call it talk singing. It's like Johnny Cash to me sounded like Mr. Ed, but Johnny could sing a song, but when he would sing, like it's like he was saying like Sunday Morning Coming Down. He didn't write. Chris Christopherson wrote it, but when he said, "I caught the smell of someone frying chicken," you could actually smell fried chicken being cooking when he was singing. He could paint a picture, and that's where the artistry comes in. When you can paint a picture with a song. Tom T. Hall was the great storyteller, another one that would paint a picture. He wrote a song, and write this down, guys, so you can look it up. It's called "It Sure Does Get Cold in Des Moines." It was talking about Des Moines, Iowa. There's about one time he went to do a radio show up there, and he saw a woman in there with a suitcase, and he started writing about her, and he said, she sat there and cried in the smoky half dark, the silent type crying that tears out your heart. Her clothes were not touched in a new modern way, and her suitcase had seen better days. Nobody asked her what caused her such pain. Nobody spoke up, yet no one complained. Here's the line. Without even asking, I knew why she cried. Life is just like that sometimes. So lyrics are very important. When he did, I'm like, Jesus, dude. I mean, you can feel the emotion when you can put that. They have it. I said, when they can touch you with the lyrics, that's when the person has it. And that's what they're looking for. Not just a carbon. That's why in recording, they have digital recording now. They can punch you in. I prefer the recording. Used to, they did it with tape. If you messed up, you'd have to do it 100 more times till you got it right. I prefer doing stuff they did the way they recorded back in the day when Muddy Waters played. Because to me, the imperfections make the art. It's kind of like my mother had a 45 of Elvis Presley singing Love Me Tender. In the recording, you could hear Presley take a breath. You could hear him go, and he would sing. Well, hearing that made it more human. Digitally recorded stuff, everything's perfect. It's like plastic. It's like manufactured plastic. It's not the same thing as the actual genuine article of what the genuine. And the genuine article to me is always better.
Now, in your opinion, when we talk about but when you talk about like the old style recording, which was a little bit more like a live recording, right? You got
yes,
the Vice today's digital recording. I would assume that also gives you a false representation when you go to see someone actually perform their songs live. That's when you're like, wait, this doesn't sound like what I heard on the recording.
You'll sound better. Some people don't sound as good live as they did recording because now they have auto tuners.
Right.
So if you go out of tune, they just punch auto tuners, they tune your voice. They go, they didn't sound like that on the album.
Right.
Back in the day, what you heard is what you got. So they would look. Yeah. To me, I've done it digital where you go in and you play a track, you play guitar, and you hum the song in your head. Then you go back and you sing over the guitar. Then they take, after singing, then they take professional musicians and they type it in and they send this on a file across the country. I've done some country stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of Chris Stapleton. Yes. The people that played for Chris Stapleton are a group called the Steel Drivers. And the Steel Drivers is an awesome bluegrass group. And they played, and he played and sang with them forever. Well, they would put stuff on. They were on the road. I paid them to play on my album. Well, what they would do, I would sing in the studio down here in Onalaska, Texas. And then he would take and send the file to them up in Arkansas where they live. And they would add the fiddle and the guitar and all the stuff, the stand-up bass, everything to it. Then they would ship it back and go, what do you think about this? I said, it sounds awesome. Then they would master it. Well, a lot of people don't know it. To record one song is $1,000.
Wow.
So for you to do 10 songs, it's 10 grand. It's $10,000 to do that. So they go, why don't you make an album? I'm like, are you going to buy an album? Well, what do you mean? I said, when you do that, you have to, if you're going to invest this money, you have to sell so many albums to make your money back plus a profit. So that's why a lot of people aren't doing CDs and different things like that. Now they're putting everything they have on a thumb drive, and they're selling thumb drives at shows.
Okay.
Remarkably, the record industry, the old school 33s are coming back in. They've been on the rise for 12 or 13 years. People are selling those at their shows. Because people are like starting to, it's kind of like history repeating itself. They're starting to listen to records on record players again.
Yeah, I've realized that vinyl's really coming back into mainstream media.
Yeah, vinyl is. There's a guy named Dan Dinsky. He plays, he's the one that was on, he sang "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" he's got a new album out, and he did it in vinyl. I'm like, when you see artists like that doing vinyl, that means it's selling. And the way you make money in music is if you get the gig, you want to sell your product at the show. That's how you make your money off your merchandise. When you do that.
Okay. When you explain the whole digital media nowadays, it really helped paint a picture to me of when I've heard artists talk about, oh yeah, I worked with such and such, and then the interview will be like, oh, so how was it being in the same studio with them? And they're like, whoa, wait, we weren't in the studio at the same time. We just recorded the song together, and it's like, yeah, you were in one studio, I guess now, right? And then they get their digital file, send it to the other studio.
That's
and then
exactly what they do.
And so yeah, it takes out that live performance I'm used to seeing back in the early '80s when like MTV, country music television first started showing stuff like that.
There was guys who used to record albums, like Led Zeppelin recorded an album one time in a hotel room.
What?
There was some guys, they were recording stuff and they were using different things. I've been in Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, and I've seen them record, and I've been in there watching. And I've met some of the people that actually still own all this stuff. And they would come in and they would take a wallet, they'd put it on a drum to muffle the drum, and they would make it sound better. Now they use gel tabs, but they would do when he would record. Sam Phillips would take and turn an amp a certain way. He would angle the mic a certain way to get different sounds. It was like, and everybody would play, and they would have it up by dividers. They'd have a bass player over here, they'd have a drummer in another room, but it was mic'd, and they would all play together. And so you had that live feel, and you had that human spirit that went into it. Digitally, you could add stuff. I mean, they've got it now where they can have people singing backup with me, and they're not real people. It's all digital stuff. And it sounds like, and it's actually my voice, and I'm singing with myself. And it's so much. My deal is if you get so out there and so digitally advanced, you kind of take away from the human aspects of the stuff. Now you can put it into AI and it can write you a song. I'm like, that takes away the whole point. Why do that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's what I'm a big Jimi Hendrix fan, and I would assume the reason is because of that, because that man could make sounds with his guitar that I feel even in today's digital agent technology can't still be reproduced.
The deal is, it was the way that a lot of you had to work with what you had. I've got a amp over here. It's called a Fender, but I don't know if it's a Fender Blues amp, whatever. It's just an amplifier. Well, back in the day, even before Hendrix, when Hendrix come up, the people that he would watch play, they had amplifiers that didn't have reverb on them. But then they found out if you turn the volume, if the master all the way down and the volume all the way up, and turn the master barely on, all of a sudden you got this overdrive, fuzzy, weird sound. How did we get that? So they would work and get sounds out of their amplifiers that nobody else. They said, well, what can I do to do this? Or if you hold your guitar up close to that amp, you're going to get a feedback sound. And so they would work. People like Joe Maphis was guitar genius. Him, Hank Thompson, all these different ones that could play. They played thumb pick. If you listen, thumb picking is where you're playing a bass line with your thumb, and then you use these fingers here, and you're playing different things. Brian Setzer, the Stray Cats, I know you heard of him. Watch him. He plays with his thumb. He'll have a thumb pick. But if you listen to that, a lot of that, they'll have that echo. It was in the studio. It was bouncing off the walls when you hear that echo. It was bouncing off the walls, coming back like that. That's how they created an echo chamber. So to me, it's just the difference between getting pre-frozen fried chicken from Sam's and doing it yourself. I've actually killed a chicken in the yard, come in, plucked it, the whole 9 yards. My mother cooked it and fried it in a skillet. That's the God's truth. And he say it was still warm. He didn't even know he was dead. So I mean, it's the difference between Campbell's soup, gumbo. They used to have gumbo in a can, and then what my mama made. That stuff is just manufactured crap. That's why I say with my music and stuff, I like the real deal. And Delta blues music had fiddle, had mandolin, had banjo in it, had there's a thing you can look up in Memphis. In 1968, they had a blues festival in Memphis, Tennessee. One of the bluesmen was from North Carolina. He played blues as a black man. He played mandolin. They went blues. I'm like, yeah. mandolin, fiddle. If you look up the Mississippi Sheiks, one of them played a jug, one of them played a guitar, one of them played a fiddle. They go, that was blues. I'm like, it's evolved and changed so much, but you can see how the cultures have come together. And I think right now, the only political thing I said, our old battle plan is divide and conquer. If you get a whole bunch of group of people over here and a whole bunch of group of people over here, you can control them. But if people actually come together and like do this, it's kind of hard to control people. I'm like, dude, y'all bitching about things that won't even matter in 10 years at all. It ain't gonna matter. It's the same shit, different days, the same old game. I just think authentic. I think being authentic. I got depressed one day because I was submitted for a Grammy this year for a song, and I got in the first round. I didn't win the Grammy, but I got in the first round, which undoubtedly is a big deal to do. And so I got submitted for it. I've been in several blues magazines, Blues Matters. I was in one that was an international magazine. My name was on the front cover with Walter Trout.
Wow.
And in blues, and I got in all these magazines, and I'm out here and I'm playing restaurants for $300. I'm playing anything. We play church. I said, dude, I can do gospel all night long. I was raised with it. I can do anything you need. I'm not Jewish, but I play a bar mitzvah if they've got money. Put on a yarmulke and do the whole 9 yards, I always joke that I'd wear spandex like they did back in the 80s, but they probably charged me for crimes against humanity, because I look like about 285 pounds of chewed bubble gum. So I quit drinking and quit smoking and quit doing all this other stuff. And I started eating hamburgers. And so it's always something. So my brain just fried again. What was I talking about, Cheryl? Or were you listening? I don't think she was listening. Yeah, I always do that. They think it's part of the act. Like I'll be in the show with my wife, I'll stop and go, what was I saying? She'll go, you were talking about so-and-so, and they all start laughing. They think it's a part of my show. It's not. I literally forgot what I was saying. Yeah. Like it'll totally go everywhere.
Let me just jump in here real quick, John. You've mentioned short-term memory problems about 6 or 7 times now.
Big time.
That's part and parcel of the gift that keeps on giving. Those who have post-traumatic stress have memory and concentration problems. It's totally normal. Absolutely.
I didn't know it was normal.
Aggravating.
Man, I keep forgetting shit.
Yeah, it's aggravating as fuck, but it's normal.
It's extreme. I'm going, wait. And I do it in the middle of the shows. I'm going, what story was I telling? She goes, you were telling this so and so. And people start laughing. At that part, I said, this is just real. This ain't fake. We didn't plan this. I promise we didn't plan it because I totally went off. I just think being authentic. I tell you what, I was depressed, and I played all these places, and I see kids out here that haven't paid dues. They get signed and get all this, and they're on these $1 million buses. And I started getting depressed. I'm like, dude. And I put on the Facebook, I said, being the real deal is not all it's cracked up to be. There's a difference in a bluesman, and there's a difference in a parrot. And being the real deal is not all it's cracked up to be. I was like, I'm the real deal. And I said, I've got to, I played in front of 5,000 people one time. I played everywhere. And it's like, do you get festivals? Every once in a while, but none of the big major blues festivals, none of that kind of stuff. It's like it's monopolied. It's like, oh, well, you're white. I'm like, what's that got to do with anything? If it makes you feel better, I found out we got some Puerto Ricans in my family. There goes the neighborhood. I got Puerto Rican in me. I think I've got some black in me. I've got black Irish in me. I got Scotch in me. I said, I'm a mutt. So technically, my mother really did pick cotton. So, but you'll find reverse racism in the blues industry because you're not authentic enough. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna tell you something. I pride myself on being the real. I said, dude, I've lived this. And you think, well, man, it was a great show. You're entertaining, all this stuff. And then I see all these people. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What did I do? I was with Blue Highway Records. I paid over $6,000 for promotion. They weren't promoting me. I was promoting myself through them, and they did work for me. And I'm on 33,000 different jukeboxes, digital jukeboxes now. And it's about $6,000, $500 a month for like a year. And I got my first royalty check. It was $98.23. And I went, something's wrong. What happened? Right. My wife goes, you're not you're not doing bad. You're just breaking even. You're not making anything, but you're not losing anything. I'm like, I got to quit this. I said, I'm not going to pay you anymore. I'm not under contract. I'm not going to pay you. This is stupid. I said, I'll make more money if I go and play shows and sell merch at the shows and be done like that. But I've done all that stuff with the record. I was with Mississippi Blues Incorporated. They had me signed, and I had to get out of the contract because I'm doing all the booking. I'm doing all the singing. I'm doing all the writing. I'm paying. Well, you're the executive producer. You know what that means? It means you paid for everything. The executive producer means I paid for it all. I got a title called the executive producer. I don't know jack shit about producing, but I'm the executive producer, like the custodial engineer. Oh, okay, you know. So
I laugh because I actually have two friends that are in the music industry. One of them is an R&B singer. She's been doing it for probably about 15 years.
oh yeah,
Um, and the other one is he's a rap artist. But they both have told me basically the same thing that you said, that being a producer or executive producer is not what it's cracked up to be. It costs you a lot of money. And then B, one thing that I'm kind of hearing a lot of you talk about too is they talk about the politics involved in the music industry.
a lot of
That
politics.
yeah, that if you're not paying off the right people, doesn't matter how good of a singer, rapper, whatever you are, you're not going to get the
No, you
airplay
need
that.
money. If you have like a sponsor that can, it's got deep pockets.
Hmm.
There's actually companies that will take and they will promote you. They will
Yeah.
put the music articles. They do all that stuff. That's what they do. They'll even run your social media. I know. I was signed with CDX through. I have an entertainment lawyer in Nashville, and this is cheap. They wanted at least $1,500 a month for a year, and they put you out on all the digital stuff. Man, this guy's blowing up. Well, he don't blow up by himself. There's people that do all that. They know I'm computer illiterate, dude. It took me forever to learn how. I knew how to Zoom call, but on this thing here, my wife's going, what'd you call it? Calamity or Caldy or something? I don't know what it was. What is this?
Calendly.
Yeah, whatever it was. He
Calendly.
goes, I don't know how to
Yeah.
do it. Why don't they just use Zoom? I said, I have no clue. So I need somebody to do this. Well, now everything's changed. It's not about radio stations anymore. It's about streams. But on a stream, ask your people this. You take a penny and cut it in 4 pieces. A quarter of that penny equals 1 stream. So man, you got 500,000 streams. I'm like, that don't mean shit. It ain't like I'm getting a quarter stream. I wish I was getting a quarter stream. I'm not getting a quarter stream. It takes 1,000,000 or something, like to make. So you're getting a quarter 0.0004. You're getting that little piece of that penny on a stream. And I was getting the streams. I'm doing all this. I'm going, I don't make any money. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And the music business.
Looks like we lost Mr. Riley
Oh
again.
boy. Oh, here he is again.
So
Yep, you
is he back
vanished
up?
for a second. Yep, we still can't, or at least I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, I can't hear him at all, Doc.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Can you hear him, Luis?
No, not even on the producer platform either. Usually that's the one that's given me the most up to date information. So
Okay.
we'll give him a little bit. We'll just
All right.
you and I can
Sure. But John, I'll just
Do it
throw,
again.
there he
throw
Hello.
is.
something. Yeah, I'll just
Hello.
throw. Hello. I'll
I'm
just,
here.
okay. Can everybody hear everybody and then see everybody?
Yeah, I can see everybody now and hear everybody.
Okay. Speaking of guitarists who should have made it but didn't. Hey, John, did you ever hear the name Danny Gatton?
Yes. Dude, that guy was freaking awesome.
Oh my God.
The killer.
Danny Gatton, let me just go into a little bit of technical stuff here. Any style that you can imagine. And he used to play with a small pick between his thumb and forefinger and also pick with these fingers as
It's
well.
called
It's a
hybrid picking.
combination of straight picking and chicken picking all at
Mm.
once.
Yep.
Furthermore, the man had fingers like sausages from all the years
I
of
bet his wife
uh,
liked him.
working on. Oh yeah, I'm not sniffing that one. Hell no. Um, I can go right there too with you, John. Anytime you want. But and he looked like somebody's Uncle Bob. I mean, he just did not look well. Gee, what's a guitarist supposed to look like? and he gets that beat to hell Telecaster, plugs it in, and kills everybody. He could, oh, geez, there you go. But here's a guy who could not get successful on a major level, and he deserved it. All the people who are successful, the superstars, all know the name Danny Gatton. They
And
all
there's
do.
Cheryl.
Yeah. And
Can,
say again,
can you hear me?
Yes,
you
sir.
we can hear you. But
Okay.
the success that he was always looking for, he was his own worst enemy. He just wanted to play in his backyard. He lived in D.C. and hung out on his farm and fixed up old Fords and made them into hot rods. That was his passion. The whole business thing, as John was saying, the whole music business thing was not his thing. And in 1994, he apparently got into an argument with his wife, went out to his shop and blew his brains out.
Mm.
And Luis, I mean, if you've never heard the name Danny, I could send you some stuff. It's
Yeah, please do.
impossible. Oh yeah, what that guy did with a Telecaster was impossible. A Telecaster is basically the first, if you can think of it, just about the first electric guitar.
Hmm.
You've seen them a million times. They are so crude and so simple. Yet this guy could uh, make a Telecaster scream like with rock and roll, or he could make it sound like a jazz guitar,
Mm.
smooth,
Wow.
full body, and anything and everything in between. And he was people, the famous folks were asking him how he did stuff. He was an oracle for so many, and he's no
Gotcha.
longer with us. And what John was saying is, it's the frustration of the music business.
Yeah.
It's not based on merit, and that's what
Gotcha.
causes the agony, and that's what that level of agony is what makes the bluesmen who they are. The pain of being ignored when they are
Mm.
so stratospherically good at something. And Danny Gatton could play blues, he could play, and he could play at 90 miles an hour all day long. And according
Yeah.
to the exalted music industry, he wasn't good enough. I have no idea what the hell that's all
Mm.
about.
I'm always amazed at the men and women that can play instruments, especially even multiple instruments. Because I've tried to pick up a guitar and learn how to pluck a couple of strings here and there, but maybe I just do not have any musical talent in me whatsoever. Because I don't know how they remember the chords, the keys. I don't know how they know, like, hey, we're gonna start like on a B minor or a C major, like. And I get it. They're students of their art. I understand that, but I still think that there's a certain level of just natural talent, natural ability to understand music and to
Right.
play it in order to play these instruments. I mean, even the piano. I think, to me, the piano is one of the most beautiful instruments. The piano and the harp. Believe it or not, I love the harp. I don't know why, ever since I've been a small child. And from my understanding, the harp is one of the hardest instruments to learn. But the
Now you talking
sound,
about a blues harp like a harmonica, or are you talking about a harp like King David played?
yeah, correct. Like the big harp that you
I
put in
got you.
between your legs.
Yeah.
But I was telling Doc Barry that I'm just in awe of anyone that knows how to play a musical instrument. Because, like, I've tried to pick up a guitar and pluck a couple strings. I've had friends on deployments that bring their guitars, try to teach me, and like I'll learn how to play a chord, right? But I was never able to learn how to play like a whole song, or how to keep my fingers where they belong. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you
I've got a
guys.
grandson, Jace. He's the only one of my grandkids. The other ones, I think he plays in band, but on guitar. My grandson, I've taught him. He can do 3 or 4 chords, but I never was told I couldn't. They go, "You don't read music?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't read nothing. I just play." And I played one time with Leon Rhodes on the Grand Ole Opry. It was a WSCM Grand Ole Opry at the
Mhm.
Midnight Jamboree. And I told Leon, I said, "Man, I can't read." He said, "He's don't tell them, they won't know." And I get up there and just play. And like I can hear it. I was raised up playing with my uncles. We just said, "Well, play. Here's the chord." And they showed me the chord. They didn't say you have to study this or that. I never took music theory. I mean, I know like 1, 4, 5 and things like that. If they tell me to
Mhm.
go to the 5 or something, like I get it. And if I know what major chord I'm playing in, but I couldn't tell you. I can write songs and I can write the tune, and I can tell them, hey, chart this out when I get through with it, and they can put it in music form. But I can't. I can do it out of my head, but I can't do it like write it down. I couldn't tell you a note from nothing.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah,
know.
that's a special talent. I've heard of other artists that I forgot what documentary I was watching. This is a long time ago. When I mean a long time ago, I mean maybe 15, 20 years ago. I was watching some documentary on a very famous artist that basically was a kind of along the same lines. Um, they were recording. It was, I believe, a male artist, and the people in the studio found out that he couldn't read music, and they're like, "Well, don't ever tell anyone this because that'll be the end of your career." And from my understanding, his whole career was like that. He could never actually read music, but he would hear a note and he know exactly how to play it.
Yeah, the deal is they say John Lee Hooker was on stage one time, and John Lee could barely write his name, but the guy goes, well, when did we change? And he said, what do you mean when did we change the chords? He goes, if you got to ask that, you don't know when to change, you shouldn't be up here. It's like he just kind of knew what it was. Like I can just kind of feel it when it's going to happen. I get that because that's the way I am, but I was never trained. I grew up playing in church and doing stuff, and just I would try to play everything. I think I was. I tell people I think I was born to do what I do.
Mm.
You know, because
Is
that's the only thing I'm really good at. I think.
is is that also kind of the ability? Like, let's say someone is playing the guitar, and there just happens to be another instrument, let's say the drums or a piano, and somebody walks up to it and just listens to it, and they can just basically jump in and keep up with the beat or the melody. Is that kind of the same concept?
Yeah, yeah. I can tell what I usually tell you what chord they're playing there. I can hear it, or I can find it on my guitar and play right along with them because I get the feel of what they're doing.
Yeah,
Uh, it's
I
it,
think that's amazing. I watch YouTube videos of people that do that. You know, like especially in foreign countries, you'll see them like in the airports or like a subway, right? And there's a piano, and then somebody will walk up with their violin or their guitar, and they start playing together. Have never
Well,
even known each other.
When Doc was talking about Danny Gatton, I don't know if you've ever heard of Danny Gatton. You can look him up. Danny killed himself, but Danny was a genius. Danny, it's called hybrid picking. He would hold. See, I play with my fingers like that instead of holding the pick. I got a thumb pick on, but Danny could. There's another guy named Brent Mason, that's a famous country guitarist who can play anything that does the hybrid picking. If you look up Danny Gatton, he was just absolutely anything you could think of. Uh, and there was a guy that was before Danny. Um, I'm trying to think of his name. He
Jimmy
was
Bryant.
famous.
Jimmy Bryant.
Who was it?
Jimmy Bryant.
Who was the other guy? He got killed. He died in a jail cell. He was he
Oh,
played.
Roy, you're talking about Roy Buchanan.
Roy Buchanan was a fantastic. He would just have an amp, and he would do stuff on the Telecasters just absolutely amazing. Roy Buchanan was another guitarist and he grew up in church, man, playing. He played for different people, but Roy just played to play. You know, they said he killed himself. He didn't. I think Roy was known to get drunk and he talked a lot of shit. I think the cops beat him to death. But him, Danny Gatton, knew those guys were just like Gatton was phenomenal. I seen him do
Mm.
stuff on the guitar I didn't know was possible.
You
I
know,
can see you guys' faces, but I can't see you moving.
can you hear us? Can you hear
I
me at
can hear
least?
you, but I can't. I can hear you, and I can see a
Yeah.
still picture of you. Can you see me?
Nope, not a thing.
Yeah, I can. I can see. I
Well,
can see. I can see you
we'll keep
guys, and I
right on.
can see myself.
We'll keep right on going. It's as far as having the blues or having the gift. It doesn't have to just be guitar. As soon as you were talking about it, the guys who play in subways. When I was down in New York a long time ago, there was a guy with a bunch of overturned paint cans and epoxy cans and whatnot. You take one look at this guy, he had dreads, huge circles under his eyes. It looks like he had been through World War III. And he started laying down a rhythm on these cans, This guy was so far into the pocket, as we drummers say. He was so far in the pocket, he damn near disappeared. I was standing there with my jaw on the ground,
Do you play drums,
watching
Doc?
this. Yes, and I was tearing up. I dug into my pocket and I gave him all the money that I had. It may have gone for drugs, but so what? He just looked up at me with that sad, that terrible, I have seen hell too many times face, and he gave me a nod of thanks, and he just kept right on going. Now
Oh yeah, dude.
that son of a bitch right there belongs in a studio doing sessions and having somebody help him with his sobriety so that he could do what he was put on this earth by God to do.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
man.
blues.
You can tell. I've heard people say, "Oh, drummers are drummer." I'm like, no. I said, there's a
Oh,
difference between drummers. I said, I used to call them kung fu drummers, Russian dragon. They were either Russian or dragon. I said, if you get one to get into the pocket and lay it down, and
mhm.
I said, he's solid as a grizzly's penis. I said, I promise you, that's awesome if you get one like that. But
Oh yeah.
they ain't just drummers ain't just drummers. I've heard they're a dime a dozen. I said, not the good ones.
That's right. That's right.
The good ones ain't a dime a dozen. They cost money.
Mhm. That's
Yeah,
true.
Matt. Well,
I'm looking.
Mr. Riley, we got about 5 minutes left, and around this time, we always want to ask the final question. If there's any of those last burning desires that you want to speak about that maybe we missed over or we didn't get to touch on.
I think the only thing I want to do. Sometimes I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. You know, like you said, I've seen hell too many times. One of my goals or visions is to be able to play in a theater. I played Artesia, New Mexico, in the Fine Arts Theater up there, and we got a standing ovation. I like being in front of an audience that actually comes to listen, rather than playing in a restaurant. Because the guy eating enchiladas didn't care if you play the song or not. He just wants, can you play this? Can you play that? And they usually like a trained monkey, like a jukebox. I'll give you $1. Can you play this? You know, that kind of stuff. I would like to actually have a show, especially if it was like be like Blood Brothers, to put a blues and country blues and actual bluegrass stuff all together and show them the difference and the emotions and put that in front of an
Wow.
audience. My goal is to be able to play in front of an audience that people actually come to see what you're putting down and giving out rather than, you know,
Right.
doing the other thing, just making money. It's because you sometimes like you want people to, if you're a true entertainer, you want people to see what you're doing. The circuses come to town. You don't want them to look at you and go, who's this guy? You want them
Right.
to really
Right.
dig what you're doing, you know. And I've honed my craft for years, and I've played street, I played everywhere, to be able to do that. And one of my goals is, because I'm not getting any younger, I would love to play theaters and have theater shows to be able to come out in front of an audience and actually give them something rather than, you know, playing for some guy eating a taco that doesn't
Yeah.
know I'm there.
Well,
Amen to that.
Can you
hopefully,
see me?
hopefully, yeah, we still cannot see you, but we can definitely
Yeah.
see you.
I can't see it, but I can hear you 5 by 5, John.
But
Okay.
hopefully, so I already got Mr. John Riley's YouTube put up on my laptop, and I'm definitely gonna listen to some of these songs. But hopefully one day I can get out there and see you live one
I
day.
would love to.
Just
And I tell them I go anywhere, have guitar, will travel.
amazing, amazing.
Amen.
Well, to our audience members, if you have a chance to check out Mr. Johnny Riley on either his website or his YouTube channel, please give him a follow, give him a like. For those that are able to go see him live, please, please, please go support this wonderful man, fellow veteran brother of ours as
Yeah.
well. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, a like, and a subscription and a follow. And we would greatly, greatly appreciate that.
Put my phone number out there. They can call me. I'm ready to book now.
We will do, sir. We'll
We
do. We'll
will.
get that information and put all that on there on the site, and hopefully get you some good bookings so that people can hear the great messages that you have to spread.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, I'd love to do this again. I enjoyed talking to you fellas.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Hopefully, we can
Good.
do it again sometime soon. Doc Barry, you got anything else before we sign off?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head other than Thanks to Lloyd McIlwain, I never know how to pronounce that idiot's last name. God bless his pointed little head.
McElwain.
McElwain, yeah, jerk him off, right? For hooking us up. It was a great time, and yes, please. And next time we get Nate on here, and we'll have a ball.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're a walking encyclopedia of musicians and the blues. I know a fair amount too, so it's refreshing to run into somebody who listens to the stuff that I do. But also, it's refreshing to take somebody who has taken many personal hells, plural, and turned them into something gold. God bless you, John.
God bless y'all, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
And
Have a
don't
good
forget,
evening.
hey, John, don't forget, make sure you're 100% uploaded before you shut yourself down, okay?
Yeah, it says 99%. It's all I see up there.
Yep, yep.
Beautiful.
Well,
All
to our
I'm
righty.
waiting
audience,
for the 100. Will the 100 come on?
yeah, I'll
It,
let you
it'll
know,
say
Mr. Raleigh.
only
But
uploaded or upload complete, I think is what it'll say. Don't worry about it.
yeah, I'll let
Okay.
you boys know when we sign off. But to our audience members that stayed with us throughout the whole time,
Radio
we
program.
appreciate you very much. And to the audience members that tuned in for the first time, welcome, and we hope to see you again. But for tonight,
Amen.
this is it. Thank you all so much. Many blessings, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, and
All right.
we are done recording.